afternoon to all of the footy fans tuning in to our live stream today. It's an absolutely cracking day weather-wise of football. Not too many clouds in sight and plenty of sun to go around. We've been very grateful for some good weather this August, and we're even more grateful to be at the Adelaide Oval, the heart of football in South Australia. I'm Indiana Rogers, and joining me today is Tony Neal. Tony, what matches are we watching today?
Oh, mate, fair dinkum. We are in for an absolute treat down here at Adelaide Oval. The first game, of course, Westminster versus Trinity in Division 2, starting at 2 p.m, followed by the big one, Sacred Heart versus Ross Trevor, Division 1 at 4:30 p.m. So a great day of football ahead of us, Indy.
Yes, an absolutely fantastic scene in front of us to be farewelling a lot of these schoolboys who will never be playing with each other potentially again after this. So this is a very big opportunity and very big day for them. Lots of memories to be made, that's for sure. And we're very grateful to be here at Adelaide Oval. Of course, our sponsors we thank as well, Sports Interactive, Filming Footy, Dartfish, and our scoreboard sponsor, Sportle. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their efforts behind the scenes.
And of course, folks, the big one at home that people will be watching going, what are they giving out here? Well, it's got a bit of a cult following now. Our best on ground wins the Dartfish beanie and also the pair of Archie thongs. And watch out for those interviews post-game when all the excitement and drama is happening. So looking forward to a great day ahead of us. We'll be back after this short break.
So it's been a really cracking afternoon worth of weather, and it's perfectly set up for a really cracking afternoon of football as well, Tony.
Oh, sensational, Indy. I just see the groundsman out there marking the ground. I understand they are going to use the second circle. There's a lot going on, which we'll discuss in this pre-game, but how exciting the first game, of course, Westminster versus Trinity. And interesting, the bus trip down, you have to do it. Trinity, fair way to get here. Of course, in our second game up here, Sacred Heart versus Ross Trevor. So we're looking at, if you like, a macro of the day that's ahead of us. And of course, our magnificent sponsors as well. We'd like to thank Sports Interactive, Dartfish, Filming Footy and Sportle for all our scores today.
Yeah, and Sportle have given us the privilege of seeing the score on all 4 of our screens available here at the Adelaide Oval, including ours. So that's a really nice touch, and it's a really nice touch for the fans as well. They put in so much effort, Sportle, to give us the best scoreboard coverage from throughout the country, and it's moments like this where it really shows what they're capable of at peak. So we're very grateful to have them on board as our sponsor. Tony, I think this type of game definitely shapes up as a major one in the calendar for multiple reasons. As you said, Trinity had to travel a long way, but Yeah, it's
Well, we had a chat with the coaches, or you did, Indy pre-game, and let's have a listen to what the coaches had to say.
We take a look at the opinions of our two coaches for the Division 2 Grand Final coming up today at the Adelaide Oval. On the right of me, Tim Weatherall, and on the left of me, Christos and Amori. Thank you very much for joining me, both of you.
No worries. It's really exciting to be here. Thanks. Good to be here.
So just a couple questions about the game itself because, well, it'd be very rare that you've had the opportunity to have your boys play at the Adelaide Oval itself. It's a much bigger venue and the stands, even when they're a little empty, can be very daunting sometimes for the less experienced players. Have you kind of educated your players a little bit around that?
No, not really. I just told them to really enjoy the experience. It might be the only time they ever get an opportunity to run out here. And, yeah, so it's all about having a bit of fun and just looking around. And when they get out there, just to really enjoy being out there.
Yeah, and about you, so you probably reckon that maybe this would be an opportunity to prove themselves at a bigger venue and maybe even get them into the conditions for big future football games at SANFL or AFL level.
Yeah, sure. It's something we speak about with all our players, but similar to Tim, it's just an opportunity to enjoy the day. And, there's still grass on the ground, goalposts at each end, so it's still a game of footy. But, yeah, just embrace the moment and have fun.
Well, get both of your opinions on this next question because one of the hardest parts of being a school football coach is that you have to see many players come and go during your time. You can be in the job 10 years and you'll go through about 5 full lists during that time worth of players. Is there anything in particular that you've learned from these players?
No, I think, as you said, like you do have a different... It's not like a footy club where you can build a list and you keep playing the same structures every year. Every year you start with a new group of players and you try and work on that. So you do depend on your Year 12s every year, and we've got a fantastic group of Year 12s this year, and if they're really switched on and they can lead the younger boys, I think that really helps. And yeah, I've been really lucky this year. I've got a super group of Year 12s who are great leaders, great kids, and they've probably dragged everyone along, I suppose, this year, and yeah, we've had a really exciting year.
And what about you, your takes on that?
Yeah, we've got a good group of players who know that, at their best, they can match it with a lot of colleges in the state. We're on a journey, and this is a step towards that journey. But yeah, we're just really excited for the day.
Yeah, we really wish both of you the best for it. But also, we never play favourites. We never pick favourite players as coaches. But is there anyone who's a particular barometer for the team? I'll ask both of you that question.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 lads who play now State Under-18s this year. Our big ruck, Taylor Goad, is obviously, he's the first person who gets to get involved in the game. He has a bit of a jump at it. And, a young lad called Anders McShane is our captain, and Tom Whedon. They're sort of our 3 guest keys for me. If those 3 boys play good footy, then they bring a lot of the others into the game as well. So they're my 3 big ones.
Any particular barometers or standard setters within your club, or even the king of comedy? Anybody that really stands out and has made the year a little bit different on their own merits?
We've got clearly some high-level players, some funny players, mixed personalities, but we don't value them any different to each other. We've got, a squad of players that we value equally, no matter what talent they bring. So yeah, that's hopefully the philosophy we bring into today's game.
Well, I'd like to thank you both, Tim and Christos, for your time this afternoon. I wish you the absolute best for the game ahead. And Tony and I will be in the stands, definitely enjoying the most of what this upcoming match has to offer. So thank you very much both for your time, and good luck for this afternoon. Fish filming footy, making all of this coverage possible, and Sportle making our scoreboard coverage possible as well. All looks to be in readiness. As you can see on screen, they are using the second centre circle, not the primary one, which is those AFL games. And a lot of that would probably have to do with maintaining the turf quality, because let's face it, bouncing the ball in the centre has been a lot more of a struggle in recent years than it used to be. And for whatever reason that might be, it doesn't matter now. We're using the centre circle, the second centre circle, to start the game. It's Trinity versus Westminster in the Division 2 Grand Final. A quick ball up to get things underway.
See Tim Alva just at the back of the pack there. A little bit of man-on-man as we speak.
Yeah, already quite a bit of a hot contest and hot ball to win as Shadforth gets involved, but taking a turf with the ball. So we saw the groundskeepers out before the game, just getting the grass all assorted, and it looks in really great nick. So there will be no advantage paid despite Trinity's best request, but it will come back to the hands of what looks like Grantham. So he clears it out. Yeah, Grantham goes out long, just shy of the forward arc, but a direct pinpoint kick. They're going extra one further to the deepest options up forward. A bit of front on contact and a free kick later. The fans tell you the story. They had their first set shot in quick time.
Reckon Bailey Blacker it may be. He's at number 34. Just see good size about him too, Indy, as we see the ball come back. He's going to be on that slight angle. The sun directly behind him.
Yeah, well, the sun's behind him, so that's actually the good part. It's a question mark of whether or not it's more difficult to mark in the sun or kick into the sun. But it is Bailey Blacker who'll be taking the kick. So not directly in front, but not too much of an angle to work around. His skill set lives up to the moment, and a very fitting one to open us the Div 2 Grand Final. First goal to Trinity College.
And they come around, and both teams, Indy, was interesting looking at the statistics. Both teams come in undefeated. So one team will finish the whole season undefeated, and one team will finish with a loss. And pretty big day, I'd suggest, for all these young men. And that young man, no matter where he ends up in life, will remember the day that he kicked a goal on Adelaide Oval as we are underway in the first game with 25-minute quarters, of course. Big crowd there we can see, all looking on as the ball goes up in the middle there. As we said, the second circle being used. So it comes out the back now. That looks like Ryan Vandermeil getting his kick away. It's only, you can see the painted ground from the recent AFL games. Nice kick into the forward line. Oh, they don't collide. That's really good forward structure by Trinity. I've really liked them both times. Oh, he's played on quickly around the corner on the run. And that's gone out of bounds. That will be on the full. So a bit of a let-off for Westminster. And I'll tell you what, they're going all right, aren't they? Trinity just quick into the forward line, but understanding. Now under a little bit of pressure here too. Westminster, as they just get the 14.999 metres. Indy. Ball on the far wing.
Ooh, it's a bit scary, actually, how fast Trinity are moving the ball. This is fantastic from a school team. Great way to start the game and set the tone early. The ball in hand now, that looks like don't from a distance. But the ball's been intercepted instead. Picked off by Declan Kolb. He goes out wide, not to the favour of numbers. He demanded a lot of Shadforth to get that ball, but he managed to recover pretty well. He's got a couple handball chains to use on the wing. They go further on the left with a kick in towards half forward. It might get towards the boundary line, but defensive positioning working well for Trinity. Not for long, though. A tackle in the forward pocket, and we got a ball up to set up the next score, potentially going Westminster's way. Now it's a test of whether or not that fast ball movement can get him out of the defence for Trinity.
Just as they come around, just on the boundary line there, look at the numbers in red there. They're outnumbering the opposition. That ball, I think you'll find, was touched over the line. Keep an eye on young Clay Shadforth. We have seen him last year. I can remember him, number one. He's a very, very fast player, dashing kind of player, and you could see him break that line on the wing, and that can break the heart of the opposition if they get it over the midfield and make them all run. They're up with it now. You see Elijah Grantham just was going to come into that pack, and he's decided now to stay back as that ball goes up. Player just a willy-nilly handball out. That's the tackle you see has come into vogue now in the AFL as well as local football as Tom Wheaton hands the ball back, and that is that take the one arm as well. So up it goes. nicely crumbed off the pack there. That's a penetrating kick down the wing, but of course it's turned over straight to Declan Kolb for Westminster.
So Kolb again looks into the forward 50, tries to hit the vacant space, hoping someone will lead to it. There's a bit too much physicality in that contest, actually. So Trinity will get the free, kicking it out there. Deng goes to a man in the other pocket, but he was under a lot of pressure early. He had to get that one off quickly. He did. Maybe not in the most effective fashion, but it keeps the ball alive momentarily. Another turnover in the middle, though. Westminster try to stretch out to the other pocket this time, keeping it alive, weaving it along the boundary, and keeping the eyes peeled. That was superb. Now, I reckon that's Will Thomas, but your eyes would know better than me.
Just have a look here on the monitor there. He just having a look around. Don't think he's going to pass that off on that angle, but interesting kick, this one, Indy. We can see the flags just up on the scoreboard there, really going into his face here, if not coming across his right shoulder.
Well, one of the worst positions to be kicking from in this current sunlight.
Yeah. It is difficult to judge when the sun is also in your eyes. Keep your head up, young man. That's the other thing after you've kicked it. That was Will Thomas. So let's have a look. It's yeah, I thought it was a point. So you have to come back into the square, young man. So just having a look around. One lead came out this side of the ground. He elects now to play on almost a Sicily type play for Hawthorn, where he just comes long along the wing. Good recovery there. Darby Fitzgerald just gave it over the top. 1-2 handballs. He's picking up the possessions. Nice little kick in by Anders McShane. As we said, though, kicking up high. Player unable to take it for Westminster. Keeps control of it. Gives it off. 1-2, 3 handball. This time McShane comes through. He's kicked it around the corner, and a great goal by Anders McShane. And we must remember that he started that as well, Indy. They all come around him. So he started that from this flank here. Got it in, came back out. They moved it around. You notice those handballs came from outside the flank to the inside, and they always had another one. It's almost like choreography. Back up, and then McShane, you see, kicked that really a check side around the corner.
Yeah, a bit of a following here as well for the Westminster team, is just the schoolgirls there getting a bit of extra energy into the crowd as well. So that's really great to see. Good crowd receptions from both here. They're out there in full voice trying to support their teams. We come back to the second centre circle as we establish the one that will be used for both of these games. Oh, a lot of wrestle going on in the middle. It was high infringement, doesn't matter. Westminster will clear it out anyways. And lace out, oh, nearly hit the target, but he didn't quite mark it. So they had to work through a couple more. And they kept the eyes peeled instead, favoured the more lightly set shot opportunity with Jake Sevier. He almost considered passing it off there, but decided, you know what, this is about as good as you can ask. Even with the sun in the eyes, it's directly in front. I mean, if it's my personal 2 cents, I actually think players are more likely kicking from tighter angles today than they are directly in front. But
as you've said, he's got the sun in his eyes and the wind in his face. That's not an easy kick as it looks.
Yeah, we didn't mention the wind kind of blowing a little bit southwest at the moment by the looks of things.
There you go. What do we know? Straight through Jake Sevier, and I tell you who I've liked already is we talk about Clay Shadforth running through the middle, but I tell you what, Anders McShane, he's exciting to watch, and I did watch after he kicked that ball what his positioning was, and he was actually square of the kicker that kicked that ball in towards Jake Sevier then, so he knows not to go too deep into the forward line. So keep an eye on him, Anders McShane, number 3. Very clever play. So you see him here. He'll come to the back of the pack. So he'll be facing, I'm always interested in this, who's facing what way. So he's going to get a run on, depending on where the tap goes. And keep an eye on the big ruckman there. Taylor Goad goes up. So they tap it to a player that's running the opposite way, who then gives it forward to the wingman, interestingly. So the 5th man into play. Trinity are good enough to apply pressure here. Good little battle. That's one of the very hard things playing football, is those little 50-50 battles on the ground balls. And they come free here, looking for Shadforth in the middle. If he gets going on the Jets, great back up there by Fraser Watts. I reckon he's come off the wing out this side. Geez, put it up high in front. That's a good set of jukes. Umpires let it go. Look at the players in and around that ball. A lot of players at the moment, the beat of the honeypot. And you need to have the 2 or 3 just stay off. There's a lot of space to the right or to the to the wing of this pack as well.
So back in the forward arc for Westminster. They've dominated the last couple of minutes of basic play, and it's really strong centre clearance work, part of the main reason for that. The way the on-ballers can get on top of a game goes huge ways to determining the momentum. But as we can see, Trinity have some fast ball movement to work with of their own, so they only need a couple light opportunities to make things work. Shadforth clears it out for Westminster. Found vacancy on the left forward flank. Reeling it back around with Shepherdson. Tried to keep the eyes peeled and crumbing it off the ground. Happy to do it the hard way around a couple of defenders. That was absolutely superb. Was that Tom Wheaton?
Big lad there, I reckon. Just going to run forward. Here we go. Have a look here. Quick kick came in.
Shepherdson with the delivery was very good. He already had to wrestle one defender and then three surrounding him, but still managed to pick it up cleanly. I'm not sure if that's either Wheaton or Agnew.
I reckon it might be Agnew, just looking at him, because he's come now down into the ruck. And to show that agility, I can tell you as a tall, for all those recruiters out there, I've got a background as well. Done some AFL and been at sample level. So you sort of look at these players over 6 foot, what they can do below their knees, and that was fantastic. Because we see now Trinity go forward. It's been a while since it's been down there, and Lachlan Hewitt just tracking that ball out. But yeah, when you're looking at the big players, where do they run? What are they doing off the ball? And this ball's going to come back to a contest. He's got, looks like Trent Tatoli. So now the ruckman's free. He's actually free on this wing, and he's trotting down just on the point of this square. He darts inwards in a zigzag. It's an interesting little tussle between the two rucks. He doesn't mind going forward, Agnew, and doesn't need to, because this is the other one, Taylor Goad, who is the ruckman. Nice kick on him. Oh, player, he started at the back of that and worked his way to the front. And I'll tell you what they have got is flexibility, and a lot of it, because this is McShane. So there's another on-baller that's changing up forward. So their two rucks have changed in the forward line. They haven't brought them off. And McShane has really set this game alight. He's going to line up for his second. Lay down Monty, commentator's curse. Runs in. Pretty happy about it. And they get around him, and their passages of play, Indy, down that far side. And they seem to be winning, I'd suggest, the 50-50s quite easily.
Well, tell you what, after conceding the first goal of the game, Westminster have now kicked the last 4, along with the last 5 scores on the board, and of course that one minor score. And that was a difficult shot to make, so they haven't been off pace. Trinity's defense has just been thrown under the pump a little more, and now it's starting to show that those centre clearances will be key to getting Trinity back into the match. That fast ball movement will need to be backed by opportunity, which they haven't been able to find these last 5 minutes or so.
Well,
12.5 minutes into the quarter.
Christos Anamuri under a bit of pressure now on the coaching bench. Probably hasn't been in this position too many times. 4 goals down, 3 goals down in a game, and it's a final. What do you do now? What do you do tactically? Well, let's have a look. As see, they're going backwards here, Westminster, but they're able to work their way through traffic. And interesting, put that ball back into the middle of the ground. Another player jumped on top there. The first player was tripped, and getting a little bit of work as well. There's Riley Shepherdson. Elects to come to the player leading forward, which was McShane, but cutting across the big ruckman. We'll get his number in a minute. He's got a penetrating kick. He's actually kicked that, if this makes sense, too well. Well done there by Isaac Downey. Player comes in to support now, and that was Ryan Vandermeil. So they need a little bit of this. Numbers at the ball. Just looking at the big ruckman here. We've got Aidan Schubert, number 22. So keep an eye on him. He looks a real competitor there. A lot of numbers around that ball on the AFL visiting players race there, or the 50-metre line in front of the one of the many scoreboards here that we've got going, and we're thankful to Adelaide Oval for use of the oval and the scoreboards. As the big ruckman taking the ground. Umpire says play on. Bit of a rolling maul now, it turns into this. Probably 10 minutes into the quarter. 13 minutes in I've got, actually. And a great start by Westminster.
Ball up just shy of Trinity's forward 50. Rushed clearance just shy of the arc as well, and that one's gone out of bounds, but without a touch on it. Westminster will give it back. So, of course, the last touch rule, similar to that of the Sample and the Adelaide Footy League, all but the major level AFL use that rule. Westminster.
Very dangerous kick, Indy. I know I bang on about it, but it works. And they're trying to, well, they've only got one out this side of the ground, so they stay out the far side.
Emboscado did well there to find some vacancy. He's found a good target as well. This looks like Thomas. Into the middle. Fitzgerald wanted to get some run out, tried to go too quickly, wasn't penalised. Maybe a little lucky there, but it will result in a ball up in the centre square. That was really dangerous there from Darby Fitzgerald to play on from that position, and particularly in the corridor, 9 times out of 10 that leads to a dangerous turnover. So a bit of a rare occurrence for it to not go the other way like that. But in the meantime, over the top, the hand pass from Goad, trying to get something going. That's going to be called an incorrect disposal. Trinity will get it back. So finally a reward for their ferocious efforts in the tackling department.
They started so well, didn't they? Probably that first 3 minutes or so, and then it's quietened up for them.
Well, they don't have the privilege of fast ball movement from players like this. They've just got to get a bit of an exchange period going before most likely bombing it forward, unless it gets smothered, as such it does. But they've got a couple of hand passes to rebound and get another peel at it. It might even work to advantage. Waiting there for it was Deng, but couldn't quite get onto it. They've still got options looming around. Is that Downey taking a shot at goal? Well, whoever it was probably doesn't want to be recognised for that effort anyway, because it's gone out of bounds on the full. Westminster will be rebounding from the back pocket, stretching out the pack, but taking the mark in front was Elijah Grantham. That was really great stuff. Is there a 25-metre penalty? Yes, there is.
I'll tell you, Indy, their forward structure also with Trinity, they seem to have a fair few smalls down there trying to run around. And this guy was back, one kick back behind and set up the wall. So Grantham will get his shot on goal. Pretty much the sun is directly behind him and the wind.
So that's why they wouldn't want to go with the long bomb too much if they're utilising a lot of small forwards. And unfortunately, Elijah Grantham doesn't quite get the job done with that set shot. Only a minor score.
I think the groans of the crowd told the story there, but a long way from hand to foot for the big fellas. And, that ball drop is critical, because with that long way, talking about ball drop, have a look at that one. So a nice turnover here to Charlie Scollier. A lot of players up in this front half now as he puts it up. Oh, one-on-one and just strength there. Laid to get away with it too. Declan Kolb. They're big on using this ball precisely through that back line. You can see this ball went across the 50s and McShane, so the midfielders are caught up. They can't get back quick enough. Gives a handball across, or a player caught on the run. Tim Elver, and just brought down, and maybe that one handball and trying to do it too quickly. So the turnover now on a huge oval, AFL standard, beautiful deck. Have a look at it down there before. I was going to eat my afternoon tea off the deck. It looks so good, but look at these players out here. What an outstanding display we're seeing of great football. Great to see there the Westminster player get back. And McShane again, he's bought his own football, goes for the switch. Trouble with that kick, it does need to hit. He's given it back to Trinity. This way, that way goes Trent to Trolley. Comes out now to the flank and plenty of space to work in. Nice kick in, and just that, that critical punch, wasn't it? Gets it across now. Fraser Watts on that last line of defence, just sensational.
Back into the middle it goes. Wheaton with the ball in hand.
Shane, sorry, just helping on the half-back line there.
Not too eager to pull the trigger just yet, but Alva will. He'll go further. That's not to the advantage of numbers. It was 3-on-1. The defender's looming. Superior position will get him out of trouble, but it will bounce off at the chest of Passon, and that's going to lead it to going out of bounds. And there's a 25-metre penalty against Westminster here for, maybe that was a bit of talk back, was it?
I think the umpire's signalling it was a swing tackle, and not so much a swing tackle, but the way that the tackle is aggressive at the end of it.
Well, they didn't demonstrate too much, but there was obviously a bit of a crowd.
So Jake Agnew comes on now. It's interesting, they're just changing their forward structures at times. So he is the second ruckman, he's gone forward now. There's McShane again getting another clearance for Tom Wheaton. Comes forward towards Agnew. It was over his head. He's got the chase on. He's a brute of a man too. He's having to go down there physically, and there was pressure on the ball kicker, and I'll put that down to the chase from Jake Agnew from a long way back there.
Brought back into play. Back in the hands of Wheaton again, who's been prominent early. That's a dangerous kick into the middle. Hutchins has got to make good work of it. He's continuing to be chased. Got a hand pass over the top. That worked favourably. The kick not so much, but it will continue to bounce. Having goal side, last line of the defence was Scollier for Trinity. But they're back in trouble again. Here's McShane. He'll load and launch and fire from 45 out. That's his third goal in the first quarter. Absolutely standout stuff from Anders McShane. He's making an early statement for the Archie Thongs and Dartfish Beanie. Let's take another look at this. Obviously the rushed turnover under the offensive pressure there, but McShane just needs to lock and load, and that's exactly what he did.
That's a penetrating kick too, and he probably 48 out on that kick, and he gave it everything. And for the AFL players out there watching, that's how you do it. Just get hold of it, don't think, just pot it through, and you work off instinct, intrinsic if you like, and nice, very nice goal. And the hard work out there by Westminster, as I said, just structured up a little bit differently. They've got a big tall centre half forward and full forward. They've got another tall down there and three smalls. Just have a look at Trinity as they go forward now. Oh, that fumble can be critical. Player taken around, but well followed up there by Aidan Schubert. Player slung around. Umpire says we'll bring it in, ball it up. They don't mess around either. Up it goes. Oh, player out in space in front of the pack. Another pressure on the kick, but well done. Just the value of standing in front. I always say, when you stand that metre in front or a metre behind, you're never going to make it up. So by playing in front, especially up forward fortuitously, we're going to get a shot at goal as there is just a little bit of byplay going on.
Understatement to say that they need this one.
This is Jack Collins now. Good size as well. Good athletic build on him as he wanders in. Just holds that ball up and down, and he has kicked it. Well done, young man. So Jack Collins has the second for Trinity now. And they just needed to say they needed a steadier. They are 18 points behind, 3 straight. And look at the numbers coming on. So we've got Clay Shadforth, we've got also Caelan Knox, who's another tall lad, and we've got Darby Fitzgerald just going down in back. So 3 interchanges there for Westminster, and Shadforth's gone in the middle. So one goes in, one goes out. So they kept their 4, they kept the 6 very quickly there. Of course, Indy and umpires just signalling. So there's an extra player of Trinity who didn't go into the middle. He went down into the 50, so he now comes in, and good umpiring to allow that to happen.
Oh, I'm surprised that wasn't a penalty. Sometimes they penalise that depending on which league it is, although might have just been a warning there. Fair enough for the kids. They get a handball chain going. This is exciting. Is that Arnold or Healy? One of the two. He launches, and it's hit the woodwork, has it? Just missed that one. No review required. Westminster will have to rebound. There's time continuing to tick down. We're under 2 minutes left. McShane again in the middle. That's not his best kick, but it will still make its way to the target. But didn't give much of an opportunity there for Goat to get rid of it. He's been caught because he disposed of it incorrectly. And it looked like there was a bit of a sling after that, but the umpire didn't cite anything too major in that. Trinity to go forward again. Wobbly pass into the arc. Hand pass over the top, continuing to put things forward, but the momentum is stopped quickly by a blockade of Westminster defenders, so they can't get it goal side.
Been impressed with the defence of Westminster as well down here. Not really letting too many Trinity players get away as we see congestion there. Goat out. Now they come around Trinity. Good work, but back into the arms. It looks like Kolb, is it? 22, or it could be 23, Cooper Jones. So just surveying which way he's going to go. Do their pinpoint with their accuracy, and really impressed with their foot skills as we're 23 minutes into the quarter. McShane yet again, and look at that kick out wide, which widens up the ground. Will they come in square? He had one, he just said, no, I'll just hold it up here, which they are doing. He did have Max Robertson short, elected to go down the wing. Just that long kick now by Trinity. Players up. Oh, just a little nudge. Harry Lunn. Now we see the kick to McShane. Went to go, gave a handball instead. Shadforth, he's the one they need to hold up. Quick feet. Kicks into the man on the mark. Didn't know how he was going to spend it himself. Player bundled out of it. That is courageous play by the Trinity player. One handball, two handball. Around the corner on the kick. And we have quarter time here in a very entertaining game. 2 goals to 14 to 5 goals 1-31. Westminster lead. We will take a short break.
Quarter time for the Division 2 Grand Final of the Sports Association for Adelaide Schools, with Trinity currently trailing by 70 points against Westminster. And we'll just take a look at some of the graphics as well, because these teams have both come from different pots of their respective divisions, but they're both undefeated. And that's the main thing to keep in mind, Tony.
Yeah, so what have you got for Trinity there? Undefeated?
Yep,
Indy?
Trinity undefeated, won their first game by 4 points and then won another game by 99 points, a whopping 99 points, and then another 54-point win in round 3 after that, followed by what looks to be a 81-point win as well. So some convincing, some clutch, very diverse pool of wins there. What about for Westminster, Tony?
Yeah, Westminster, well, they opened up with a 53-point win over Pembroke, and good accurate kicking. And then look at their next game. They had 37 scoring shots in another 99-point win. Interesting, both teams round 2, 99 points. Westminster again, a huge win over St Ignatius with good scoring, 20 goals, 14, and then, of course, 40 scoring shots. So there, we're used to seeing big scores out of Westminster. That's an interesting graphic to have a look at and compare the pair, as we say, compare the two teams. Now we have them in close, and of course, Christos Anamori really urging his team on there. You can see them. They're playing on Adelaide Oval. They've got themselves back in it. Tim Wetherill there, of course, former Sturt Norwood champion, absolute champion, this gentleman, and really good coach. We've had the luxury of seeing him coach the last couple of years out there at Westminster, and look at him, he's a teacher, so he uses, I guess both of them, but the teaching background as well, and just urging the players on. All eyes to the front, as we see, and exciting times. I think the excitement's gone, the nerves and adrenaline's gone, and it's just play football. And you play, you don't worry about where you're playing, you don't worry about the scoreboard. Your traits as a footballer at this age need to come through no matter where you are, what the score is. And most of all, I was talking to a coach recently over in Victoria. We're talking about several things, and he's at a high end, but you still enjoy the game, Indy.
Yeah, when you're only 17 points down, you're in it. I mean, we saw how fast Trinity's ball movement was in just the opening minute of that game, and that to me speaks volumes that as long as they can get the ball rolling their way and win a couple more centre clearances, it doesn't take them too much time to load on a couple more scores. Both of these teams, of course, a lot of really convincing wins in that roster of wins that they've managed to snag up. So when we talk about best players, of course, Anders McShane for Westminster stands out as the key highlight to this game. 3 first-quarter goals, plenty of the ball, had a lot of involvement in transition plays. He's a jack-of-all-trades type of player from what I've witnessed so far, and we look forward to seeing more of what he can do as well as what his teammates can do. Some of the best players for Trinity, of course, Bailey Blacker got that goal earlier on in the quarter, and then they managed to get another one off of, was it Gratham? He missed his shot, but without a doubt, Trinity looking to have more scoreboard impact in the second quarter nonetheless. This time they'll be kicking towards the northern end. They waste no time trying to get it down there. Maybe could have taken a bit more time to put a bit more effort into that kick. It's come down onto the half-forward flank. It'll go down a bit deeper from the pickup. Dropped a pretty gettable mark there. Wrestling him. That's Kolb trying to really lock down on the key defender, and he's actually rewarded for his efforts.
Had him down as one of their best as well, Indy.
Yeah, one of their best defensive players for sure. A bit of pressure on their movement in the corridor here. The spoil coming in from Grantham doesn't lead to a direct turnover, but Arnold managed to get onto the end of it. They've stretched out to the wing, trying to take the ball on there, but only getting a mere fist to it, and eventually resulting in another ball up on the far side of the ground, the eastern wing to be exact, as we tick towards the first minute mark of the quarter. No scoreboard change so far. 2:31 p.m. South Australian time. Trinity managed to clear it out. So that's the centre clearance dominance that they would have had a couple words with the coach about during the quarter time break. Down towards half forward. Westminster more eager to crumb. Long kick from Fitzgerald, that looked like. It's going to bounce awkwardly. Didn't really bounce for anyone. Oh, that was electing the bump. Tom Wheaton probably didn't need to do that. It's resulted in the free. So here's Jai Arnold again, kicking to the other side. With ball in hand, that's Mason Don't. He stretches out further. They're keeping it towards the eastern side of the ground before centering it up down towards half forward. All the options are running forward. Not too many have goal side. It's interesting to see how they could peel off with the forward structure here. They decide to go to the right pocket, and it wasn't the best option.
So they get a release here, Westminster. Out to the right they go, or the left for those watching at home. Nice kick along the line here. Looks like Will Thomas again, getting plenty of it. Looks a little bit frustrated, pushing the players across. Please come across would be the picture. It kicks to where he was pushing the players to. Now they have one-on-one here, round the corner on the left. That was cleverly done. It's going to be a grass ball. I tell you what, he loves the competition here. I tell you that, don't tell me. He's put that into the goal square. Oh, I tell you what, Jake Agnew, what a very clever player. Didn't even think, he just put it on the boot. Tried to centre it or have a shot at goal, or we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And last line of defence by Trinity there, and they were awake, which is good to see. This is a clearing kick. They've got a big tall here in Asher Passon, but he's being well held at the moment by Riley Shepherdson. So they go out the other side and they've turned it over. Player picking up a few possessions out the other side there. Is that Will Thomas again by the looks of it? A few players look very similar, so we apologise, and they're wearing the white boots. So he's going to kick. Looks like he's going to have a go from the 50. Geez, I'll tell you what, I was just looking at Jake Agnew doing a bit of bullocking work in the goal square as well. But Charlie Scollier is up to it as this kick comes in that direction. Oh, just over the top. Player held, dragged the ground. Look at them all going for it. Will we see a goal off the ground? 1-2. Can they get it out? They've got two players here, Trinity, if they can get it out, and that was well done. I think that was Will Tagg, who just stayed off the pack there. See Jai Arnold in there. Up it goes. Dangerous position. Oh, a long time to get that handball and just walk through there. And that was Will Tagg, who played a good position there. He didn't get sucked towards the ball. stayed out. So this kick in becomes critical. What will they do? They elect to go long again to numbers. 3-on-1. Big punch by Taylor Goad. 1 handball, 2 handball. It's a long time in the air for the Trinity player. Taken the ground just off the boot there of Goad. So what will the umpire say? Throw it in on this grandstand side with the crowd there. Great close-up. Cameraman James Moody doing a great job as umpire elects to throw this in on the wing.
As he does. Plucked out of the ruck there by Taylor Goad. Didn't even need to get 1 hand up. 2 would suffice. The kick has been turned over though. Looks like a mark to Jai Arnold again, who's had a bit of prominence in the early stages of the second quarter. His man nearly dropped the mark. In fact, the umpire blew the whistle before he'd fully completed it. So it doesn't matter. They found a vacancy on the wing, although has it worked to benefit? Mason Doan had a couple to work around, but his teammates were there to support him. Dashing around one, but getting caught by another. The umpire didn't even blow a whistle there because it almost looked like he was pulled down with it, and the ball was lost in translation anyway. No free kick needed. Jake Agnew again.
Yeah, McShane got that to him as well, Indy, sorry.
Another potential score involvement for McShane coming up then, but it depends on the boot of Clay Shadforth. Will he look for a target or go himself? He's taking time to ponder the options. He decides to get around his man, or he wanted to get around his man, but it seemed like they were more defensively prepared than what he was expecting. They're under a lot of heat here. McShane's been tackled with the ball, but he's been taken high. Trinity fans not too pleased, but he could get a 4th goal here. It's unfortunate because there was a lot of boxes ticked from Trinity's pressure in that last passage of play. Their defensive structure was actually really good, and even after Clay Shadforth tried to shrug off a couple men, he decided not to. And in the end, Anders McShane decided not to go for the set shot either. He's given it to Tom Wheaton, which I actually don't know if it's too much more of an improved shot. Slightly improved angle, but distance-wise, just about the same, if not a little extra.
Little Aidan Nixon Burns just came on for a bit of a glide by there. It was half a lead as well.
So opportunity looming. Right from the arc he launches, but that one starts and finishes offline. Didn't make the distance, but Shadforth thumped it over for a minor score. So it's a 19-20 point game at the Adelaide Oval. 2 goals 2 to 5 goals 4, Westminster's way.
So they go short here and across the ground, but they're maintaining possession here, Trinity. Wants the player to come short. He's got 3 out there to his right, but elects to go down the ground to Will Tagg. Don't mind watching this young man go around. Ooh, just a little bit of indecision. He's going to have to go over the top, if not down the guts. He elects to go down the guts, and that's Jake Menzel. They now go out wide. They've had players out there for a long time. Good luck trying to get away from Clay Shadforth. Gets the ball. The ball will move faster than the player. However, they are under pressure here, Trinity, and that's what pressure will do to you. Indecision. They've got players on this wing if they want. They elect to come diagonal into the middle. Well done, I reckon that's Agnew. Gets a quick handball. Trinity can't quite get there, so a long kick in. Oh, big pack forms. That's a great grab there. Will Young. The pack formed. So this was Will Young, yes. I reckon there's Will Young and Will Thomas who look very similar. That was a nice grab for a mid-sized player, if you like. Courage shown on that long ball that came in. So he too is probably going to kick from 45, directly in front. The wind is behind him. There is a touch of a breeze. Just kicks out to the left there as well. They've kicked 4 points, believe it or not, for this quarter. Still in front. 21 points, commanding lead. So they've kicked 5 goals, 5 for the game. As Trinity high along the wing. Need the big grab there. Can't get it, so nice little left foot kick. Player had to stretch and reach, and that was a good mark there. Bailey Blacker now kicks it on, but it's a 50-50. Keeping his feet almost there was Brody Embuscado. Second effort, that's the value of keeping your feet. Now they handball, put a player under pressure, but gliding by him. Well done by Tom Wheaton, and good vision to get that ball to him. Out in front of Shadforth. Watch this player put the jets on. If it'll bounce up for him, it does. He backs himself a bounce. This way, that way. Look at the dancing feet. Still gets around. Kicks it into a dangerous position. decision. Umpire, please. And no mark. I tell you what, Riley Shepherdson, did he fly? Anyway, Trinity will come away with it, and I'll just settle down a notch. Wowee.
Gary Ablett Senior didn't hold it for that long, and he got paid.
Mark of the year he got.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Tom Wheaton, ball in hand.
Yeah, Wheaton again from the turnover. They've been forcing a lot of turnovers and really locking it in their forward half. So a more controlling game, mostly less effective one. It's been knocked back into play by the last line of defence. It's the... Oh, is it a goal?
Yeah,
the goal umpire has called it a goal, and Trinity defenders asking what for. So it's a goal. There it goes. Goal number 2 for Jake Agnew.
So we'll see if we can get a replay. We may not, because it all happened so quickly. Here we go. So the ball came, he goes on the left here. Looked like it went through. Player was just on the line. We won't know. We can't comment from back here. The goal umpire was right there at the point and doing a great job, I might say. And that is a nice goal. And I'll tell you what, Jake Agnew has a bit to offer, doesn't he? I'll have to keep an eye on whether he actually is a right or left footer. And guess what? He's back in the middle, in the ruck. And I'm just coming back from that mark, Indy. I'll tell you what.
The mark that was misfortunately not a mark. I'd like to get Christian Petrarca's opinion on that goal as well. I'd like to see what he thinks. Ball comes back to the middle. Trinity under a bit of pressure now. That's the first goal they've conceded of the quarter, but with a big barrage of minor scores to pair along with it. So it's a game-high 27-point margin that Trinity will have to overcome now. Doing work at the ruck as they go at it. Grab them. Take it to turf with the ball in hand. Doesn't look like either team's gotten a huge ledger in the ruck, although in that particular instance, Agnew just grabbed it and his opponent didn't even really try to get physically involved. Now they're on the run. Shadforth, kick half smothered, but it still makes its way to a teammate. Wheaton had too many men around him, almost turned it over, and finally they're penalised for over-possessing the ball. Trinity, an opportunity to rebound off of half-back. But that's not going to do it. That's a direct turnover to Shadforth. What was he thinking? He's going to try and keep the eyes peeled, and I assume he wanted to centre it. Maybe should have gone for goal. Maybe that was his intent, and it just came off the wrong way. But it's a minor score. A bit of a lucky break there for Trinity because, wow, that was a dangerous turnover in the defensive half.
So they're out again here, Trinity. They need to get it down and get a shot on goal. They haven't scored this quarter, and we are almost 12 minutes in. Another turnover here to Westminster. Oh, just a bit of hesitation there. Look at the Trinity players. There's 3 around 1 here, but the one that came out the back there was McShane. Couldn't get it, so it's out again by Trinity. Well done here. Can they get a run on? Oh, that is great play. 1, 2 handball. They're not quite out because players under pressure. This has been the downfall of them. They're just doing that high kick in, and they're outnumbered, and they get back again. Great work rate by Westminster. You have to work up and down this huge ground, and Agnew really liking his game as well, and that's a pinpoint kick. 2 players really turning it on, Agnew and McShane, and that's a nice mark here. Jake Hartman, we haven't called him. He puts that a touch high so the big fist goes up just across the boundary there. Last on defence, and just holding his back there is young Charlie Scollier. I hope he's all right. As umpire looking to throw it in here. Big goads already in place. I don't know that anyone's up against him. Now they come in, the Trinity ruckman. Who's first to the ball here? The Trinity player first to the ball. Just held it in, so umpire says we will ball up again. Up it goes. Ooh, interesting ruck contest there. Trinity player still down. Under pressure right on the boundary line. Tight against the boundary line, but they've done well. But there's a spare back here for Westminster. Well done, Trinity. This is Jack Collins. Goes square. They've got 1 free out on the wing. Just puts it to grass and says run. And it's a race. Caelan Cox for Westminster. Up against, looks like Isaac Downey. Round the corner. Oh, this way, that way. Bang! There's the hard running by Downey. never gave up on it and was allowed to take that tackle on that half-back flank. They turned around here. Trinity were going forward, and a few players just starting to walk late in this quarter, Indy.
Yeah, I reckon it's getting to that stage. We're not actually, well, we're just over the halfway mark, 14 minutes in, but it does look like there's a couple tired bodies out there, and Trinity just haven't found a route to get the ball moving forward. Unfortunately, looks like Tim Weatherald actually put extra effort into his winning side, or leading side, we should say, at quarter time, and it's been a bit of a blockade that's formed now. That's got to be high tackle, that will be, and Trinity will get the ball back as a means of that. So that was Schubert. Just playing around with teammates at the moment. Want to get a little bit of an exchange. A switcheroo. Now with the hand pass. They try to traverse the west side wing. And the hand pass was just made in time before getting penalised, but it didn't go to anyone, and the pressure continues. In fact, it's going to be holding the ball. The Trinity fans are a bit confused about this one, but apparently it must have been trapped in. So instead it will be Max Robertson. We haven't called too much off of. He shrugs off one man. He kind of mongrels the ball into the forward 50. It almost worked for Will Thomas. It remains down there for the moment, but it's called a ball up. So play just slowing up a bit here. And this has been a far more controlling quarter from Westminster. Not as menacing, not as attacking, but they've been locking it in their forward half and giving little to no opportunity for Trinity to register a score, which they haven't. They have not scored this quarter.
No, you're right, but luckily Westminster have only, well, luckily for Trinity, have scored 1 goal 5 in the quarters. A couple of players coming off with the blood rule now. I think 1 or maybe 2, definitely the big ruckman, Aidan Schubert. So we see Elijah Grantham and Jack Collins coming on, with Collins coming into the ruck, who we have seen up forward. He goes straight in and bumps into Taylor Goad. Goad just over the top, two-handed punch back into traffic. We'll see a second ball up here. Just interested to see what happens off the ball here. There's space on the boundary side here. There's 1 or 2 spares behind here for Trinity, if they can get it to them. It goes to the one Westminster. There's the spares I was talking about. So they get that along the line. Oh, riding high and sitting up there like the cowboy. But I'll tell you what's a turnover to Westminster. It comes back in. We've seen a couple of really good attempts here as Goad gets that out. McShane can't quite. It's not McShane, it's Tom Wheaton. He's having a great game. They've got good numbers back here, Trinity. The trouble is it comes down the wing here. As just knocked over there is Bailey Blacker, and looking a bit sick. Sorry for himself. Just a little bit slow to get up, but very courageous play by the young man. Umpire going to throw this in. A lot of space. Look back behind the pack here. If that ball goes over the back, a lot of space to run through for players. Trinity player, that's great courage, but they always seem to have one back, Westminster, and they seem to be able to work it out of the clearances, and the umpire says that was over the boundary. As gets put to the ball was Fraser Watts. Big Jake Agnew just stepping on, going into the buck, but he's signalling that he's got now Taylor Goad to come down. We won't actually get to this ruck throw in. You just see him at the right of this. So they've got 3 big talls, and that's actually going up in the ruck. So Sivia really wants to put the body in there. Did he put the body in? Play on is the call. Max Robertson got out of it well, distracted himself out. Cooper Jones, and there is big Agnew again. Goes on the right side. Yes, to the game.
Defenders back there, Trinity, but they're not manning up. They're keeping peeled off, awaiting the intercept. But I actually think they need some extra firepower to wrestle up Westminster's tools. So it's actually probably better to get them involved with those contests and not wait for the peel off, because at this point it's not working defensively. Clay Shadforth off his right to Tom Wheaton. Another defensive half turnover, seeing Westminster really lock it in this side of the ground. It's been going all over the southern end in this second quarter. Tom Wheaton. Opportunity looming, but he's decided not to use it. He gave it away, and maybe gave it away a bit prematurely. Ball has tumbled over the boundary line now. We're 19 minutes into the second quarter. Time already of the essence, despite there still being another half of football to go. I don't think Trinity would want to go in a half-time trailing by 5 goals, or any more than that for a fact. There's a shove out here. Advantage is going to be paid. Let's hope this one isn't too premature, but it might be. It came off of Knox from a deflection. Now in the middle and on his own, almost a bit stranded there, unfortunately, was Kai Deng. He didn't really have an opportunity to get that one out, and not enough support around him to compensate. But it's a ball up. His stoppage work will have to improve. It looked pretty good at the beginning of the quarter, but everything the last 15 to 20 minutes or so has been dominated by Westminster. Ball taken to turf again. Ground conditions still looking really good. The sun is dissipated from the ground and looks more to be overcast conditions. There is still the chance of a bit of light showers to come in the later afternoon and evening, but none of it should hamper this game too much, you'd think. For the defensive half, back into the corridor. They've been using the corridor a lot in this game. Ball's going to be made to just bring it another 25 metres forward, as well as Taylor Goad was watching his man carefully and managed to catch him. I mean, there's a possibility it could have been dissent, but it looked like it was the stand rule that got the best of his opponent. So Taylor Goad has had a lot of involvement getting the ball up the ground, but hasn't actually gone for a launch himself. He's actually confident in the set shot from here. He took the full run up. He let loose. Distance not a problem, but accuracy fades. Game high 30-point margin, and in a lot of ways it could be higher than that. 6 goals, 8. A lot of those misses coming in this second quarter, so they haven't put the game away, Westminster, but they look far too promising to be deviated at the moment. Trent Tatoli. Dangerous kick has been picked off. It won't be paid a mark, but it will be a Westminster ball, but only for a moment as they run into a bit of trouble. It's a long bomb down the line, not to the advantage in numbers. It was all on his own, really. Had no chance of getting that, was Don't. It's a ball up on the wing now instead. There's a bit of push and shove coming in. Jack Collins not too happy with the contest there, and he was the one that gave away the 25-metre penalty earlier. Back on ball, big tackle, big dumping tackle. Tim Alva couldn't get it out. Now they run into a bit of a brick wall there. They might still be able to get it out. Men piling on top of each other. Holding infringement goes Trinity's way, though, and they do at least get a moment to catch their breath, but it'll have to be an effective kick from Will Tagg. It goes down deep, and it is an effective kick. A very effective contest, too. That's the type of one-on-one work that they haven't had the opportunity to see down forward because it's barely gone down there. But now a 35-metre set shot opportunity looms to get Trinity's first score of the quarter. You'd hope it be a major one. It's Bailey Blacker as well. He kicked the first goal for Trinity in this game. He needs to come to play with the second. Jack Collins, the other goal kicker. Words can't express how important the kick is, and no words needed. It was an important goal. Second one for Bailey Blacker. 22 minutes, 50 seconds gone, time and counting. These quarters, 25 minutes, no time on for the school kids, and a 24-point game. They've still lost the quarter by 7 points, the 17-point margin that was on the scoreboard at quarter time, but it was a very important late goal. There is still technically time for another, and doing so would mean they only lose the quarter by 1 point, and the game remains on essentially even terms from what it did before. There's a whistle. Is this another positioning infringement, perhaps? In fact, it is. So this is really disappointing. This was the 666 rule violation. After the initial warning, it's been violated again, and that results in a Westminster free. It came forward, crumbing it forward, and hand passing it off Shepherdson, and then the finish, which was no good from Jake Sivier. Only a minor score. A bit of a lucky break there, because that would have been lightning fast reaction and response for Westminster. Had that gone through, 25-point margin it is instead. 3 goals to 6 goals 9. Long kicking coming out. Trinity fans getting rowdy. Tom Wheaton, hand passing back, but missing the intended target. It doesn't matter, they got compensation. Darby Fitzgerald. Watts keeps it short and played it safe to get it to the hands of Anders McShane, who hasn't had his finest quarter, but that's another effective kick from Anders McShane. And 3 goals for the game, all in that first quarter. Tom Wheaton still yet to hit the scoreboard with a major himself. Trinity fans trying to get into his head. They know that this could be a very important goal to potentially make them too much of a mountain to climb. Decent angle. Comes in, shows some class, but it just fades to the far side. And a 26-point margin will conclude the opening half of the Division 2 Grand Final for the Sports Association for Adelaide Schools League at Adelaide Oval. It is 2:55 South Australian time, a 26-point margin, 3 goals to 20 to 6 goals, 10:46. Almost put the game away, Westminster, but not quite yet. The job not 100% done. And don't forget, we've got another game coming up this afternoon with Ross Trevor and Sacred Heart being the Division 1 Grand Final for the Sports Association for Adelaide Schools. But right now it's half-time in the Div 2 Grand Final, and we're going to take a break and be back with you for the second half.
Well, here we are with Division 1 coach for the grand final for Ross Trevor. Scott up. Scott.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony.
And just tell us about the program. We'll get a bit of a macro first of all. You've only been really together, got the squads together in March this year.
That's right, mate. Yeah, week 7, I think, of term 1, we sort of kicked things off. So that was with a squad of about 70, which I think we sort of got down to a first 18 squad of about 44. So, yeah, it's probably maybe looking at it for next year, look to maybe start a little bit earlier if we can, I think, but it's going well.
Well, you're here today in the grand final. First of all, Adelaide Oval. How do you settle the players down? Did you all come together on a bus? Did you come all separately? And how's the coach feeling?
No, coach is feeling pretty good. Few butterflies are starting to kick in, and I think the boys are the same. But yeah, they all sort of made their own way here. Obviously, a few of the boarders had to come from school in the bus and that. So yeah, they're all here very early and on time, and keen. I think they're certainly excited by the opportunity that presents, and yeah, it's obviously great to be able to play a grand final in Adelaide Oval.
When we talk about coaching at this level, senior 18, of course, there will be AFL recruiters watching this sample. We say some players are at sample, and then you've got local level clubs as well, and learning the patterns of play, because they're learning at local level, they're learning at their sample clubs, and then you get hold of them and you're saying, well, this is the way we play. How's that gone in regards to actually learning their positions, forwards, backs, and the mids, if you like?
Yeah, Tony, it certainly took some time. With obviously, that, as I said before, we didn't start till week 7 of term 1, so we sort of said we wanted to be playing our best footy come term 3, and that certainly happened. I think everyone in the group now really understands our game plan, but it did take a while to implement some of that in our structures. But certainly, we're playing. We feel like we're playing our best footy at the right time.
And you must be very proud. On-field leadership, of course, it's not just the leadership group, it's every player needs to stand up. The last player selected, they're all equal across the board, because that might be the player that kicks you that little left foot point that wins you a grand final. So how do you get the team ethos across, and for these players now to be understanding, we're in a grand final, so they must be understanding amongst themselves throughout the season?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really lucky. We've got a really good leadership group that consists of 5 players. Unfortunately, our captain's out tonight, Damon Stepic, which is a bit disappointing. But very fortunate to have a great leadership group. And the thing I'm really big on, Tony, with them is empowerment and responsibility. So they have a lot of buy-in to what we're doing, how we're playing, even the week-to-week team that we pick each week. They've been great as well. Like they're very inclusive, and they induct everyone into the team from sort of 1 to 44, I suppose you could say.
We have a look. The players were all here before when we came down. They're all at the race, and stepping out on Adelaide Oval might be the first time, might be the last time they ever play here. A big thing with these guys, it could be the last time they play together as a group that have grown up since they're 5 or 6 years old. So that teamwork and that sense of feeling and accomplishment, win, lose or draw, must be sensational throughout the team.
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity for the boys, and we were certainly pretty pumped when we heard last week that the game was going to be here. And that's been a bit of a theme for the last week, is that we don't want to take this opportunity for granted. It's probably going to be the only time that a lot of them get to play in Adelaide Oval, and certainly in a grand final.
Okay, and Scott, you've probably touched on it there. Final message in the rooms from the coach?
So we've got a few plans in place for Sacred Heart. Obviously, they're a very good side and been very dominant all year, but if we can look to slow some of their ball movement off a half-back and try and win the territory battle, we think our brand stands up and we can match them.
All right, well, Scott, it's a battle of tactics between the coaches, it's a battle of combat between the teams, and it's a battle of also game plans. So we'll keep an eye. We wish you all the best in this huge grand final day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having us. Cheers.
And we'll go.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval. Overcast weather starting to loom over the halftime break. 20 points to 46, and going over some of the best players, well, Anders McShane stands out from the crowd, and while he didn't kick any goals in that second quarter, he kicked all 3 of his in the first and really set the tone of the game. Not to mention, still had a lot of effective kicks and score involvements from that point onwards. In fact, if anything, there are a couple of times where he tried to give it off to teammates instead of giving it to himself. And we're just going to go down for a quick interview with Tony Neal. in a little bit, but we'll keep you updated on that. So the halftime score still stands as 26, as Trinity actually went into the rooms, Westminster didn't, but we do have an interview coming up now. Tony Neal with the Westminster coach, Tim Weatherald.
Righto, Tim, you've had the team together. Great first half. Great opening quarter. They poured the goals on, and then not so good in the second quarter with a lot of points scored. But what was your message just now to the team?
Yeah, I think obviously we kicked 1 goal 9, I think, that quarter, so I really feel we've got control of the game. Trinity have done it really well. They've pushed their numbers up around the stoppage and made it really hard for us to score. So we just made a few little tweaks to try and get some more numbers around the stoppage, trying to win the ball at stoppage, and then we can hopefully then get the ball in a bit quicker and a bit cleaner and actually get some reward for all the hard work. So.
And a couple of your ploys, mate, your two rucks are changing up forward and, left or right foot and then on the ball. And then we see them on the bench, and also McShane we see go forward, kick goals, come back down into the midfield. You've got some great players out there, but the flexibility must be fantastic at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially when you watch AFL footy now, AFL footy, you've got to be able to play different spots. And so, I like to try and rotate the boys through. It's a big ground. They're a bit knackered too. It's pretty hot that first quarter. So, and it's also an opportunity to give guys a run on Adelaide Oval. So, we'll keep doing that. We'll keep rotating through, and hopefully we can sort of get on top and actually get some reward now.
All right, well, good luck in the big second half. Thanks so much for joining us, Tim.
Cheers,
thank you. All right, we'll head back to position. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Tony Neal, as well as Tim Weatherald, the Westminster coach, who would be relatively happy with the result. Of course, you're never happy until the full-time siren blows, but he'd be at least decently pleased with the performance that they've put together so far. And as I was saying before the interview commenced, Westminster actually stayed out there for their halftime break. They stayed out there. Tim Weatherald stayed out there, addressed the players on the field. They did not go into the rooms. And you actually wonder if that's for the reason that they wanted to keep the players exposed to those ground conditions. Because sometimes you go into the locker rooms, it's nice and warm there. You can have a quick halftime shower if absolutely necessary. But sometimes keeping yourself in battle form is probably the best call. And well, Trinity did the opposite. They went straight into the rooms at halftime, and who knows what the message down there would have been. That remains to be seen, and potentially the way they play on field in the second half will be reflective of that. So we're coming down to the ground now as we look to be set to commence the second half. Players a talk with the coach, a quick drink. They'd be ready for another half of football, and so are we on the grand final day coverage at the Adelaide Oval. Very excited to see where this goes. Can Trinity respond? They call it the Premiership quarter sometimes, and this is in the Premiership determining game. It's grand final day. But it's hammered Westminster's way pretty quickly. They don't look off pace in the slightest. Sivia can't grab it. Agnew works with, that was Thomas. And falling over, Shadforth might have to see it over to the boundary line, which they do. Some good defensive effort there from Trinity just to make sure they don't get the easy score. But once again, the territory conceded, and one of the things they haven't done in this game so far is that they've had great ball movement out of the middle, but they haven't really gotten those defensive 50 to forward 50 transitions rolling their way. There's an early whistle here because the throw-in was not up to standard. The umpire will have a second crack at it. 3:07 SA time. Tap straight to the Westminster player. Effective tap out. McShane loomed over the pack. Applied pressure a little too early, and as a result, it was high. Trinity, they've got to spread the options now, but there isn't 100% confidence in the way they're looking. Going long, Elijah Grantham wanted to get two hands to it, but was spoiled out of the contest. So another great defensive effort from Westminster. They're just locking it in their forward half. This time the northern end, of course. Although the wind has dropped right off. The flags were definitely blowing towards the southwest at the beginning of the game. But now they've dropped right off. And I don't think conditions could really be blamed as the reason for the way this result could go one way or the other. If anything, it actually favoured Trinity in the first quarter. And they didn't really capitalise on it. Only the 3 goals for the game. They are technically more efficient on the scoreboard, though, compared to their opposition. Grabbing it out of the contest. Deng. 6 out a teammate, and he gets right back up. Mason don't. Doesn't want to waste any time. Stretches to the other wing. the east side wing, and Arnold couldn't quite hold on to it. Now he's going to have to go back and chase his man to get it back, but Knox has knocked it towards the boundary line, and that's going to be called last touch, so Knox's effort invalid. Don't. Finds a man. They go forward. They've stretched the options. They use that smaller forward line, and that's got to be front-on contact at the very least. It is. And this looks like a big opportunity now for what would have to be Mazzio. There's also the possibility it might be Dom Parisi, because he's actually labelled twice on the sheet with different numbers, but Mazzio looks to be the most likely bearer of the ball, because I reckon Parisi is number 35. But it's not about the who, it's about the what. The result of the kick itself. He leant back on it a lot. It didn't make the line, and it's actually been intercepted by Taylor Goad, who's gotten back into the defense. So he's got time to plan his next move. Not the wisest one. Oh, but teammates got in each other's way, and Grantham just needed to take the mark, but his teammate actually hit him front on. That made things more difficult. Tossing it out, Hewlett manages to come out the other way. Grantham might have another go at it. He looms on the outside. Maybe he didn't get involved enough, but he's tackled his man over the boundary line and taken him over for a very, very big tackle throw-in. As Tony Neal arrives back to the box, and he'd also be ready for a second half of football.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can feel it down there. The people from both teams, the supporters, but even the players waiting for the next game in the tunnel, and there's a lot of people down there. Indy, I don't know. There's too many people at the schools today. They're all here. There's a lot of green and a lot of red. Good grab there by Trinity, and can they get that little mini comeback perhaps? And once again, have a look at the size of this lad.
Jack
big,
Collins.
tall, athletic. Yeah, big, tall, athletic lad, and gee whiz, let's see if they can maybe get things going here. As Collins just walks in.
He's kicked one for the match. He's one of 2 goal kickers for Trinity.
Yeah, likes it off the boot. Could that be the start they need? Collins gets his second as well. So just that little step closer. Well done. They needed it, let's say.
On one hand, it's 2 less goals. On the other hand, it's 10 less scoring opportunities. But gold in the opportune is more important than actually getting more. Quality over quantity. As we just take a look at the stands there. And there's also some fans and key individuals. Who is that on the screen, Tony?
No idea. He said hello to me.
Oh.
No idea. So, just supporters, parents, fans. They're all down here, and I'll tell you what, 2 types of people, Indy. Those that are here and those that wish they were. As we go forward in schools football, Division 2, it is fantastic football, let me tell you that. And look at this, pinpoint precision. Plenty of space out there to run. It was interesting, Tim Weatherold, that half-time very quickly grabbed him, and he said, I feel the players are feeling a little bit tired from that first half. You put nerves and adrenaline in. You know, did they sleep last night with the grand final? There's a few factors still to come into play in the game as Trinity go into the middle.
Well, another interesting thing, Tony, is that Westminster stayed out there for the half-time break. They didn't go into the rooms, where Trinity went straight into the rooms. So 2 very different approaches. Comes down to the forward line for Westminster. Dangerous place to be. Keeping it alive along the boundary line. Almost getting caught with his hands in the cookie jar, but Tom Wheaton just got it off in time. Getting taken well was Shadforth. Is that last touch? That is. He had to concede to the boundary line and was penalised as a result of it.
Here too,
they're off. They've got to go quick, Trinity. This is the type of defensive 50 to forward 50 rebound they haven't had most of the game, and the mark is taken by Collins. He's too far up the ground to score, of course. The next mark taken by Gratham, another really prominent player for Trinity today. He'd have to definitely be part of whatever fire they decide to start. It goes over the head of the intended target, but there's options looming. Can they crumb it out cleverly? That's the last touch because it came off the boot. It might not matter, though, because a second smother was all they needed, and Jaden Passon didn't have the opportunity to send it forward as he wanted to.
I reckon he might have just kept that in on the boundary line, maybe, or like I said, could have been last touch and he just quickly moved it on. But certainly a sense of urgency with Trinity. They've sped up their movement, ball movement, take a few risks, just pushed out there by Goad out the back. That's ended up being a screwy. I don't think it was deliberate, but came off his boot, and the big fellas get plenty of penetration. You see Trinity, they've done this well at times. They get that spare, they move it out and across. There's another one this side. They've got one either side. Guess what? They've given it up to, you won't catch him, Clay Shadforth. Penetrating kick, but he's given it back to the opposition. Oh, this way, that way. Big fella, is it? He got that to boot very quickly for a big fella, and Jake Agnew, if he doesn't kick him, he's helping. Oh, and he's back. He's jumping up and down on the spot with hands in the air, looking back at Will Young to say, well, I gave it to you, you give it to me. And Will says, no, I'm on Adelaide Oval. And good on him. He reckons he can go around the corner. Does so, and gives it. Geez, I tell you what, the player has picked that ball up, thinks he's going to play on, and it was a goal. So that was an interesting kick there. It didn't quite look. Let's have a look here on the replay. Very deliberate. Just didn't get a lot of penetration on the kick. See the play, though, he actually bent back into the goals. So Will Young has his first. And there's a big contingency there, boys and girls. Good on them. Enjoying it, Westminster, and they're pointing and saying, look at that cameraman. And well done. Great support for their team, and they'd be a happy bunch just at the moment. A bit of the old rah-rah, if you like, because Westminster very well up on the board. Trinity now out of the middle G with one hand. That's a fairly good kick too, into a dangerous position. Now they're out here, Trinity around the corner, trying to get it across to Collins. They're asking a lot of Collins this quarter, aren't they, to be up there and get that ball. He has to actually jump the fence. This is what you call sportsmanship.
It's him and Grantham that probably have to toss him back into this game.
So
So
he's
go
gone,
retrieve the ball that he couldn't get.
Aisle
Out there.
163. Aisle C, seat 7, to get the ball back and give it back to Darby Fitzgerald.
So back it comes. Fitzgerald decides to go long. That's one of the longest kicks of the day. Hit the pack. Crummers were looming. Westminster continued to advance, but only as far as getting intercepted by Jai Arnold.
That was the panic kick, wasn't it, too?
He's been one of their better players today, but he could have had a couple more intercept marks that he kept his cool at moments. Ooh. Oh, pack went up. No one came down with the mark, and well, that's a bit of a sling tackle, but the umpire doesn't think anything of it. So once again,
Two players down. It's Agnew and Collins, believe it or not, the two rucks. Collins jumps up now. He's not actually going in the ruck. He's going straight towards the goal square, and Agnew, I think he's winded, but that's why you see that punch there from the Trinity player, because Agnew's back on his haunches. He's just up now, and it's not a good feeling when you get winded like that, let me tell you. But he's back on his feet, which is good to see. So little kick. Most teams will give you that first kick into the pocket. This is the dangerous one. They've done that twice today. McShane again gives it off, and he's chased this ball up. He's down in the half-back flank. Now Agnew back on his feet. That's good to see. Gives it to a player who had to weave under a tackle, Tim Elver. In turn, in doing so, he's popped that ball up quite high, and they have come undone a little bit here, Westminster, during this quarter across half forward. You see again that panic kick in, or the high kick. Falls to numbers 1, 2, around the corner. He's a very clever player there. That's quality from Tom Wheaton. But just saying, they still got caught up across that half-forward line with that, not so much a panic kick, but the high ball in, or a kick to a contest. And just keep an eye on that. But with the quality of a Tom Wheaton, they move that ball around quickly, and he just snaps that around the corner for his first. And a very nice goal it was. And, well, a little bit more accurate from Westminster this quarter.
yeah, the 2 goals already for them, and that's a good way to start the quarter. Of course, the third quarter is a lot of times the premiership quarter, but, well, almost a bit disappointing as well to see just the defensive 50 to forward 50 transition. So Tom Wheaton just with 1 goal, and It's his first for the game, although he's had a bit more involvement than that.
There's McShane again.
McShane straight out of the middle. Tried to hit out Thomas, but demanded almost a little bit too much of him. The ball's come back in and stayed alive temporarily, but only to land into the hands of Passon. So Passon indecisive on where he wants to go next. They're just getting locked up so much here, and they hate being in this position as well. When you lose a centre clearance like that, it's another 150 plus metres from one end of the ground to the other, and
it's good,
very difficult to pull out. Now here's McShane again. He wants a fourth. Fourth option was looming, but he actually missed everything. In fact, so I wonder if he was just trying to hit it out to the pocket. Not one of his more effective kicks, but wow, he's having a lot of it.
Just say Will Young there, number 40. He's very good overhead. It's about the third mark I've seen him take overhead in a contest. Just that one grab. Very well balanced player. He doesn't look. It's probably for us. He doesn't look that tall from here, as in a tall forward. Now they go across the ground here. Trinity, which is going back to Passon, left footer. I could talk about this dangerous kick. Umpire got in the way, so it became a contest. Down low, 1, 2, 3, McShane. He's going around the corner. He likes it off his boot, and he has got that elusive fourth. You spoke about Indy, if 4 goals is elusive, but we're only into the third quarter by 13 and a half minutes, and McShane has 4. He's probably got 1 foot into an Archie's thong and a beanie on as we speak, if he can keep up this form. But looks like he's just trotting out here. Is he going to come to the wing? No, that's that's Kalen Knox. Similar haircut. So you've got big Taylor Goad in the middle. He'll be up against Aidan Schubert, and can Trinity push back again? And McShane just standing in front of his opponent already in the forward line. So if they get another one forward, now they go. This is the Ruckman's done this a few times, the big fella Aidan Schubert. He puts it in a great position for them, and that's a mighty mark there to number 32, Patrick Hutchins. Had his moments today, and it's all about playing your role. Will Thomas now. Geez, he goes out wide up high, player at the back. Round they come now, Riley Shepherdson puts it up high. Oh, they go up. Player unable to take that for Trinity, in a bit of trouble. It's on the ground again. McShane, he's coming in unselfishly, spots a player, and that's a good grab. It looks like Aidan Nixon Burns it is, who came on the ground earlier on. And geez, look at the red numbers there. He was outnumbered 3-1, but you put that ball to what we call the fat side.
We saw that a lot in the second quarter as well. They had a lot of extra defenders, but none of them really manning up, kind of waiting for the intercept, but that's just not going to do them much good. Certainly not then.
So that's their 4th for the quarter here. Indian, they're really rushing away with it now. 64 or 70 plays 27. So very good score here.
Aidan Nixon Burns.
Yeah, so just playing up forward today. Didn't take many steps, pops it through. Beautiful shot from behind the goals there as well. We've got our close-up cameraman down there. And really good work.
You wouldn't want to be on the bench for Trinity at the moment. It's starting to loom as a game out of their reach. 27 points to 70. Game high, 43-point margin. Take it to turf. Umpire calls it ball up. Trinity fans and humble level. Tap out by, pretty well done actually by Schubert, who's been pretty good in the ruck most of the day. Got another opportunity here. He actually got boot to it, but fell into the lap of Kolb, the other number 22 wearer on the ground at the moment. The ball in hand now, Will Young. Stretches, and that's just another example of, well, I actually thought that was a Westminster mark, but it's been paid front man in front. Trinity opportunity, no mark paid there either. There's Nikolai, who ran into a bit of trouble. McShane, who's pushed up the ground. Not his most effective hand pass, but it did make its way to Robertson. They just get out of trouble for a moment. But a mongrel kick into the corridor isn't going to help them too much. Deng keeps his eyes peeled, and it's picked off again. The short options, the long options, it doesn't matter. Their forward conversions just cannot work today. And it may be game costing. McShane again. Really effective kick. Finds Will Young on the boundary line. Gives it back to McShane. He weaved around the boundary line and wanted to go himself with the forward 50 entry. Positioned it well for Hartman, but he's just not able to get clean hands to it and has to see the ball over the boundary line. Merely a ball up instead.
So, umpire brings it in. Up they go. Trinity player couldn't quite. It actually bounces behind the two ruckmen. So around it comes. Ball on the ground here. Trying to get hold of it there was Tom Wheaton. Couldn't quite. Trinity squeezed up against the boundary. Back it comes and up and down. He took that in one paw there, Jake Agnew. Really been a valuable player for them today. And Indy, I'm going to leave you with it. I'm going to head down and get an interview with John Simons for the next game. And you can just work your way through these final 7 or so minutes of this quarter. And we'll be back up for a huge last quarter as well.
See you on the other side, Tony. And I don't think we'll miss too much in these last 7 minutes. But you never know what could happen. More X factor for Westminster seems to be the custom expectation at the moment. Pack forms, tackling each other. McShane's tackle also a bit premature, but none of it worthy of being penalised. Oh, McShane nearly tried to take it out, but the free kick's gone the other way. That could have been looming for a 5th goal. Instead, it will come to Passon's hands. It'll be kicked to the other side. Kick goes out long and wide. Mark will be paid in the end to Brody Emboscado. He's not the best. Almost intercepted by the efforts of Arnold there, but not quite. Tackling pressure looms, and look, they've managed to actually catch Westminster a couple times holding the ball, but probably not enough, and it's the plays that come off of that. It only holds things up for a moment, but as soon as that call is made, Westminster just know how to set up defensively. Jack Collins with the 1-2, gives it back to Dang. Dang goes long, and it's marked by the wrong set of hands. Patrick Hutchings for Westminster. They get a bit of a switch on. Here's Max Robertson. He chips it into the middle. Ineffective, but there's going to be support. Wheaton won't get the superior read. Arnold will. Now into the hands of Healy. Kicks it back. Scollier. Oh, big contest there. Once again, Emboscado trying to get it forward of the ball. And Nixon Burns tried to keep the eyes peeled to get a easy shot for Agnew in. So instead, Agnew had to do it the hard way. But, well, nothing's the hard way for Agnew. That's his 3rd goal of the game. He's trying to catch up with McShane. He wants a piece of the beanie too. And right now the contest for the beanie is probably going to be even more mysterious than the contest for the game itself. I reckon Westminster looking like they're going to be winners, 49 points up. Very convincing stuff from them, and still another 5 minutes plus a whole another 25 minutes worth of football to play out after this. Overcast weather at the Adelaide Oval. As the afternoon settles, the sun isn't as easy to sight out because more clouds starting to roam the sky a bit. Aiden Schubert. Probably been the best part of Trinity for today, just his competitiveness in the ruck. Fortunately, it hasn't been enough. In fact, he didn't even peel off that time. He actually waited for his opponent. And that's why, because he wanted to clear it off of his own boot. Took it to the arc, but it ricocheted off of someone, and right away it came back into the wrong hands. But he followed up with a really great tackling effort of his own to compensate. So we were just talking about Aiden Schubert and how he's been one of the highlights today for Trinity, and that's another example. He actually gave it off to a teammate for the privilege at the kick into the forward 50, and it's not really a privilege at this stage. It's almost a chore with how well Westminster defend. Point case an example, this next play, another ball up. So don't forget, there's a whole nother grand final to play out after this one. And the result's pretty academic at the moment. Borderline set in stone. 22 minutes, 15 seconds gone. So with only 2.5 minutes to play out for the remainder of this quarter, you just wonder, is the next quarter going to be a compensation and a more flattering margin, or is it going to be Westminster dominating the way this game was? Probably should have been dominated in the second quarter. Not in this instance. Isaac Downey gets some scoreboard action and finally something to cheer about for the fans of Trinity. One of the few times where it just came out too easily at the stoppage and Downey actually found some free space to work with. The tap on there. It's actually the credit to the tap on there from what looked like Parisi. Dom Parisi with the tap on. Isaac Downey with the finish. So a bit of a rarity in this match. But fans continuing to watch on. You don't leave grand finals at halftime or three-quarter time, that's for sure. Cleared out once again by Westminster. Holding on, that looked like Nixon Burns was holding on to his opponent, so they want to be lightning fast here. They don't want to be trigger happy, but they can't afford to waste too much time allowing for Westminster's defensive structure to get the best of them again. Kick it forward, Mason don't. Found a good option in the middle. They're just chaining together some good plays here, but again a turnover as soon as it enters the forward half. Emboscado. Kicked out to the side. Found an option, found a good man. Mark taken. Contested mark. Taylor Goad, who's been really good today. They've had a lot of good taller players. You could throw Nixon Burns and Will Thomas into that group as well, but still something about Goad which reigns supreme. And then Agnew for goal number 4. Back neck on neck with Anders McShane for most goals kicked in this game so far. He's really starting to put on a clinic of his own. We were talking about tall players who've really stood out for this team, and now Jake Agnew, the biggest standout of those tall players, which I reckon Taylor Goad, the only one to compete. Thomas and Nixon Burns after that. And after this quarter break, it will be likely a Westminster Premiership Cup to play out in the remaining 25 minutes of this game as they lead by 49 points game high margin. And it doesn't look like it's going to get too much smaller than that. It might not get too much bigger, but at the same time, it's probably Westminster by how much at this point. But stay tuned because there's a whole nother grand final after this game, and there is still one more quarter of footy to be played out. We're going to take an ad break and be back with the final term of this game. No, we're actually going to go down for an interview because Tony Neal has gotten John Simons, the Sacred Heart coach, and he's going to be interviewing him ahead of the Division 1 grand final for the schools.
Righto, folks, we're here with John Simons, the coach of Sacred Heart. Three-quarter time, about to go into the big game. And first of all, welcome, John.
Yeah, thanks very much, Neely.
So Adelaide Oval, we only found out a week or so ago, and how did that change? Perhaps not so much the setup of the day, but did you change much in regards to training, looking at the bigger ground and the excitement?
Yeah, look, there was a real sense of excitement amongst the teenage kids, that's for sure. When we gave them the announcement last Thursday night of training, they literally jumped over the top of each other. Enormous amount of excitement. Obviously, the only chance they get to get here these days is a 16 under 18 Sanford Grand Final. So, terrific opportunity for our kids in terms of preparation training. Adelaide Oval largely similar to Thebburn Oval in terms of the size of the oval. So didn't have to change too much there. It was just wrapping the head around the occasion and the excitement, the opportunity, and making sure that we have a clear enough head to be able to deal with that. Okay.
Mate, you're one of the well-respected and well-recognised coaches in this because you've been to the grand finals before, and it's not just a couple of months set up. It's I know yourself. I call it a footy factory with no disrespect, but you put a lot of time and effort into the younger age group as they come up. They learn the patterns and so on. We look at pre-season because it takes 12 months to get back to a grand final, having been there last year. Do you just work on fitness, or do you work on the pattern, ball movement, player movement? Which is a priority in that early start of the season?
A little bit of it depends on how the players present themselves from a fitness perspective in terms of what we think we need to catch up or where we need that to be. But I certainly place a high priority on a high level of fitness to be able to execute the type of game style that we want to play. But largely it's around skill level, practicing skill, being clean with disposal and ball handling, and being able to move the ball the way we want to move it. So they actually work hand in hand. Fitness to be able to play the type of offensive game we want to play, and to defend the way we wish to, and then being able to practice a lot of skill to be able to execute, particularly in games like this, when being able to do so under pressure becomes probably one of the most important deciding factors in who wins the game.
Well, we talk about finals, 10% increase in nerves and adrenaline and the way you play the game, and that's got to be settled quite quickly, because that'll only last a short amount of time. You've got to last 100 minutes. Yep. Talk to us about Ross Trevor. Obviously you play them in the home and away. Have you done much research in the last week or so, or do you stick with what your team's strengths are?
Yeah, I think in this competition you have an understanding of what are some of the opposition's key strengths, and we played them earlier in the year, but they'll have a different makeup and look to their side today. So we have an understanding of what's important to them and how they're trying to play, but at this level it's largely about our guys being able to play the style that we want to implement, and being true to the instructions that we provide around that. So that's the most important thing, but we do have an awareness of how we want to match up and what we want to restrict the opposition doing.
Tell us about the excitement very quickly of John Simons on game day, toes on the white line. It doesn't wane over the years. As we said, you have to keep ahead of every other team again. You're in a grand final, mate. What's the excitement like for yourself?
It's hard not to be up and excited for it, Nearly. It's a fantastic opportunity, environment like this, and we've worked all year to get this opportunity. So we don't plan on wasting it, and really excited. And you should see the change rooms to see how excited the kids are as well.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, John. So close to the game. We're going to go back to central commentary position, and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Good call. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much to Tony Neal and John Simons, the coach for the Sacred Heart Club, which will be featuring in the Division 1 Grand Final in just half an hour's time, because the next 25 minutes will be finished with this match, and Westminster looking to finish as strong as they played in that third quarter. Probably delivered on the scoreboard conversion and accuracy that they lacked in the second, just to put the game away. And we talk about when you're 5 goals down and the opposition's kicked inaccurately, sometimes that weighs you down for a whole game, but sometimes it only weighs you down for the quarter. And, well, in a lot of ways, they did what Collingwood didn't do in the third quarter of that 2010 Grand Final, at least the first one. Mind you, they got the result in the end as well, albeit a week later. But there is no next week for these teams. And there's no next week for many of these players who will be playing their last school games together. There'll be meaningful moments to come for many of these players as they say farewell to school league football. And the Adelaide Oval, the stage where their goodbyes will be heard. Taylor Goad starting as the ruck option. Lost that contest to Schubert. Trinity might get a run on here. Kicked out by Parisi. Ricocheted off of a spoil / a smother. Picked up again by McShane. He wants to wrestle back for that beanie. He gets it forward. The kick not initially effective, but then a couple of dashes come running through and almost penalised holding the ball. It's led to a turnover nonetheless. Trinity just improving the defensive chase down. I don't think the chase down's been too much of the problem today. It's just been more the inability to convert cleanly and sometimes letting their men peel off of them a little too easily. Although in a 49-point loss, you could trace it to a multitude of different reasons. Hand pass around. Kicked into the forward 50 and just mongreled 20 metres out directly in front to no one in particular. So that'll be gobbled up by Lim. We go to the western side wing. They slow up, only for the moment. With the run on, Goad. Had to end up seeing it over the line and had no Well, he had opportunity to get rid of it. That's what the umpire said. Holding the ball. Mason don't. I'm sure a lot of people have made puns with that surname. I'll try to refrain from doing so. Don't goes along the western wing. The eastern wing, I should say, because it's far side of the ground. Pardon my French. Ball comes out. Intercepted again. Westminster just really starting to... They've already put the foot on the throat on the scoreboard side of things, but defensively now they're really just gobbling everything up, and there isn't a lot of enthusiasm around those forward entries either going the other way. But Will Thomas, this is exciting. It could be hand passes to Shadforth. He hasn't hit the scoreboard yet with a major, and that wasn't quite his moment either. It could have been, but just missed to the near side of his arc at goal. 50-point margin, game high, Tony.
Yes, they're running away with things at the moment, Westminster, and you don't turn up to a game thinking you're going to win by this much, but playing a great brand of football as it just comes along the ground now in front of us with Trinity. Player there caught with the ball, Kai Deng. Over the top, player just sandwiched there, bought the ground as well, and that was Tim Elver. We do apologise to the Trinity out there. We've had a message from a parent that a couple of our numbers, 34 and 33, may be incorrect, and then we've got two number 33s. It's beyond our control at the moment, so we do apologise, but we will continue on with the game. We understand one player was withdrawn prior to the game as well, so up it goes. Good in the ruck there, the big fella, Aidan Schubert. Gets it out the space now, having to wait for that ball to bounce up Mason Dont. In goes McShane again, having a great game. 1-2-3. One of their better players as well is Tom Wheaton. Wheaton now gets that ball into the middle. Dangerous position because it can give it back to Trinity. They haven't quite got the back up, so they can get out to McShane again. Nice kick, right on the line. The Trinity people call over the line, but we can clearly see that was in, and Tim Elver with ball in hand just goes short into Tom Wheaton.
Wheaton goes long on that right. Demands a lot from the pocket, but one man reigns supreme. Seemed to have mittens better than the rest. And that man ended up being Agnew, who's looking for goal number 5, Tony. He's looking to surpass. No, he's given it off. Well, if he wanted the beanie, then I hope he hasn't given away the beanie with that kick, because he's on equal with Anders McShane with 4 goals each. A couple goals were kicked, of course, while you got down there on the boundary. So, yeah,
just talking down there with a few of the players, even the opposition coaches from another division, how good some of their players are looking out here.
Well, this is Riley Shepherdson, and he has not kicked a goal today. And that's why Agnew probably should have taken the shot himself. So only a minor score, which has been the case most of the day. Mind you, 12 goals, 12, 50% accuracy, not the worst, but obviously, wow, scoreboard damage could have been even stronger than what it currently is.
Saw in those graphics how big a score they've been able to kick. So, you know, you talk about the backline. Well, I think their backline's done a mighty job, equally as good as their forward line today, in keeping them in the game, in the defence. I look at Declan Kolb down now, and just looking at him on the ground now. He's come out to probably almost half forward flank. He might be sneaking up the ground maybe to get a kick. But, yeah, just the work that some of these players have covered as it comes out now, just over the top. We see the backline players. Player there, just McShane just slipped over. I think he's already wearing the thongs. That'd be why. Grantham it is, just pops it up. Trinity, they've got an outside if he wants it. 1, 2, 3. Gee, held on to it for a long, long time. Dom Parisi, slow to get up to. He was tackled to the ground. It came to him while he's actually still recovering, and he's gone down again, the poor lad. And Grantham it is. A little bit slow to get up, a couple of them now. Grantham comes through. That's a strong tackle by number 10 and slams the player to the ground. That's a big tackle, a bit of wear and tear now. See the two ruckmen there. Just have a look at Aidan Schubert and Taylor Goad. They're just walking into this contest, Indy. There they are to the left. Hulk Hogan, the umpire, balls it up. Got the nice headband on and matching armbands. Doing a great job out there, the umpires today, I will say. And we see another ball up with Schubert. I'd like to see him maybe just go back a bit and try and jump over the top. He's got the athleticism, so he's got the height, but taken out by Goad. He's gone the barrel at Adelaide Oval. He's put it into a dangerous position for Westminster. Can Trinity get it out? 1-2, it's fumbling along the ground. He's bumbled that ball 30 metres, Indy. It goes straight back to Anders McShane, who kicks it into the goal square, and we get a release from Trinity now out the far side, or do we? Shadforth applies the pressure. They're out.
Shadforth is really good with that offensive pressure. And I tell you what, Agnew and McShane both looming in the forward line looking for their respective fifth goals. Looking to overlap each other there. This is Passon. Kicks it to a teammate in hand.
Will Tag, I reckon that was.
It's Will Tag, yep.
Yeah. They had a good second quarter, didn't he? I mentioned him a few times and then didn't see him much. And Jack Collins with ball in hand, didn't he?
Yeah, Jack Collins, probably one of the few major highlights today for Trinity. He's given everything he can, and with how little the ball's gone down there, you can't blame him for results like this. He'll line up for his third goal now and hopefully manage to snag it. This would make him second leading goal kicker for the match. Obviously the two equal leaders from Westminster. And he leads his team from the front, that's why.
Just a Westminster player that was down for a long time there. He went to chase. I say this in a nice way. I hope that's cramp and not an Achilles or anything. He was, I reckon it was Brody Embruscado there. He's just, I know he's okay to limp off if that makes sense. So maybe get him on the pickle juice, just fatigue, which Tim Weatherall did allude to at half time. He said players are starting to show signs of fatigue. Big oval, the sun, of course, in that first half of the game as well. So it can catch up. But nice goal there. Trinity, can they get another? Seen that a few times today. The ruckman just barrelling it out there. Opportunity here. Oh, player dragged around there and gets the free. So big Collins looms again. Collins has got three. So, geez, he puts a great lead on too. It's ignored, and just the high kick. And that's going to be a big 50-50. Hands up in front. That looks like it could be Grantham. It is. And that's a good reach. He took that up at its highest point. He reached up high and took it at its highest point. And that was a good mark out in front. And a little bit of a late surge here by Trinity. Grantham's going to kick from about 40 out. Slight angle. Very deliberate. Well placed onto the boot. Likes it off the boot. And Grantham has his first for the day. And that was a nice mark. It was a high kick that came in. The runners out there giving high fives. That's how enthusiastic they are. But, yeah, very high kick that came in. Took a great grab and nice kicking action. As we say, perhaps a little bit of that sun into their eyes down there as well. Beautiful day here in Adelaide. We're looking at maybe 17, 18 degrees, close on the line, slight zephyr of a breeze. Well, the flags have gone quite limp as we speak. So, umpire just saying now blood rule. This will be the Westminster player. You can just see them having a look. Beautiful shot of the riverbank stand. So he is being sent off. Blood rule. Was a bit on the arm by the looks of it. And Fraser Watts was getting ready to come on, but they've decided to bring Harry Lunn on. And, of course, he's going to have to go just onto this wing. So they've brought a player in. Westminster wingman is right back on the far side. Another good tap there to Aidan Schubert. He hasn't given up today. Certainly having a go, and there he is again. Up again. Doesn't win this one. Up against Jake Agnew. Now it's out to Shadforth. Geez, look at him put the jets on. Ran a long way. Quick handball to a player facing the wrong way. Had to turn. Gets hold of it, does he? Oh, well done by Trinity there back there, and just swatting it towards the boundary line, and under a bit of pressure back there, Indy.
3:48 South Australian time, 11 minutes gone in the last quarter. A very cosy 39-point margin. Not the highest of the game, and credit to Trinity. They actually gotten the last couple goals on the board and started to just ease off a bit of the pressure, but clearly it won't be enough to undo the damage. Robertson, hand passed it straight into a man under pressure. And there's been a call here for what looks to be no prior opportunity. And it's interesting to see a team win by this much when they've actually been caught holding the ball a lot of times. There are a lot of teams in the modern era that completely build system around catching their opposition holding the ball frequently and manage to kick a lot of goals off of it. Mason Don't the one to send it forward, sharing the love and giving it to Jack Collins to finish. It's also good to hear the fans still in full voice. Jack Collins can take a bow because he is one of the best players of the day, and he's a shining light through what's been a gloomy afternoon for Trinity College.
Yeah, so well done to Anders McShane. He's equalled the goal scorers. Jack Collins, has equalled the goal scorers out there with Anders McShane and Jake Agnew as well with 4. And he stood tall up there. I'll tell you what he has done. He's given some really good leads. Ironically, he's playing on Declan Kolb, who I've called saying having a good game. But when you forward also, but I think they've swapped a lot of players around as well. As we see the players charge in here, the Trinity player just came off the half-forward flank there, charged in, perhaps becoming an extra midfielder. Agnew it was, got it out. Got numbers again here. They've showed patches, Trinity. You don't get to a grand final by being poor players, so they've showed patches. Mason Don't now goes in. Oh, up high and not able to take it, Grantham. It's all right. Comes back to Don't. He's going to kick in towards Collins or have a shot, and just a little bit offline. And that's the other side of it. Can you might not win the game, but can you win a quarter or win some moments? And they're certainly doing that at the moment. Trinity, as we're 13 minutes 20 into this final quarter, scores 12-12, 84 Westminster, 8 goals for 52 to Trinity. So 4 goals, 8 in it as we speak, and enough time if they really got a surge going. I can't see it happening, but if fatigue comes in, and I tell you what, if Aidan Schubert gives them a tap like that every time, they're going to put Westminster under pressure here. Players dragged the round 360, but it was quite vigorous and very slow to get up. So the Trinity players have been given, there's a 25 against, so it was the quite vigorous tackle. And he's played his part today too, Will Young. Well, this was, Will Thomas. They look very similar. Out it goes now. Geez, he lets that bounce, Tom Wheaton, to his advantage, then goes back around behind the player, then gets in front of his player. He made hard work of something that could have been easy there, puts it to the advantage of Tim Elver. Gee, they're working hard over there, player down. Don't like to see that from Trinity. Around the corner they go, and there's a nice goal. We'll just try and pick up who that is.
Is that Riley Shepherdson, number 18?
18, I reckon. You could be correct. And, the player, no, he's got cramp down there, which we see that from the Trinity player just in back play there. And as bad as cramp is, it's nothing major in regards to structural. So wish him all the best there, Kai Deng. It's not Kai Deng now on the ground. And I know you can see his foot just pointing upwards, and that is a horrible feeling. Try and push that. It is Kai Deng, because when that bites and the muscles cramp on a big oval. So he's back up now. Oh, it didn't go in for that, Schubert, so they get an easy one out. Now Westminster, this way, that way. So you had to stop on the spot there, Nixon Burns. Little kick around the corner now, Fraser Watts. Look at the numbers here, 3 on to 1, 2. But they come high down that wing. Back into a pod of Westminster. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 against 2. That is hard work, and well done by John Healy there. A mountain of work, a lot of hard work there, Indy. So listen, what I'll do, I'll leave you with the commentary. I'm going to go down and find our best player and maybe see if we can get an interview post-game with the beanie and thongs. I shall leave you with it, sir.
Well, there's a bit of contention over who the best player is, but we'll find out when the quarter's all over. It's 16 minutes gone, so only another 9 players left, and I think Tony and I are starting to agree on who that best player might be. But that is to be revealed after the game, not within the last 9 minutes. Some really nice manoeuvre steps there from Mason Don't. He goes forward. And unfortunately, his kick has been chopped off here. Scollier through the middle. Young. Kick to a one-on-one, and that was Nixon Burns trying to ask for it, but he got too much front positioning, so he overran for the mark. The Sun has just come out here a little bit again for some late game action. Declan Kolb, who's been a valuable stalwart in the defence. To the eastern wing, turned over, finds its way into the hands of Nikolai. Kept alive, but not in the right type of way. The kick's turned over to Watts. He kicks straight into the corridor. They got the confidence to go there. Sivia goes forward. Who's the deepest option? Is that Agnew over the top? It might just be, and the mark has been paid. He got a hand to a Trinity fan saying that it was defended. They say otherwise. Agnew it is. Jake Agnew looking for goal number 5. His impact on today has been priceless. Again, we're just leading goal kickers, but he might be the number 1 man up. Kick, no, he's missed. That could cost a beanie. I reckon 13 goals, 13. Not sure how many Agnew get. Trinity comes out onto the eastern side of the oval. Plenty of shade on the side, but this man, Lachlan Hewitt, isn't afraid to go down. They've already lost what they came to do, so there's nothing else to lose at this point. Game for their fans. The faithful who've come out here today. That's Scollier again, taking a snap around and back. Subjectively, really nice snapping action. Alex Collier for the consolation prize, and it will be a long time, but at least they'll enjoy the last few minutes game while they've got the front. Nice match. Wells 13 goals, 13 to be exact. So, on the scoreboard, also just inefficiency on their transition, and they move it so fast. Sometimes it's more for their own good. It won them the first goal, and you thought, wow, players like that all day, it's going to be really hard to catch up with them. But eventually, their ball movement slowed. Shane passes it to a teammate in the middle. Westminster out to the western stand wing. In the shade. Robertson falls over in his contest for the ball. Jai Arnold rushes it out. It lands back in the hands of the defense. Fraser Watts. More than pleased with his own performance as well in this big match. Kick towards me. Not marked. Might be seen over the boundary line. He's going to keep it away. Tom Wheaton, he just completely disposed of 2 tacklers there. Now it's gone to the pack. No mark to come out of it. Trying to get involved and keep his head over was Jake Sivia. I might pull up, and that was definitely the right option. Although looking a little rocky from the actual contest. Aiden Patterson. Snap over the top. Mark to come out of it. Find some corridor ball movement. Might go the other way though. Harry Loom. Take it to ground. Actually, look like Jack Collins pushed up the ground a bit here. Feeling offside, Shadforth. He still needs a goal to take the pressure off his own back, but he's also missed. Wow, he's had a Jason Castagna 2019 style grand final performance. A lot of almost moments, but a lot of minor scores, and just hasn't been the man. He hasn't been him, but he will be part of this premiership team. And well, his forward line of the most standout feature of this game. It was the same as his goal kicking. They are not equals, but very least say that there's still get a couple more, and maybe even get his long-awaited first goal. He's looking around this contest, get the receive here, taking a snap around, and just missing to hit the post on the left. Looked like the efforts of Darby Fitzgerald, who hasn't kicked a goal either. The contest, take it. It's good to still hear some of the applause coming for the Trinity Gardens fans. Their trip back home will be long too, so they're riding the results of this one home with the players. They are one unit. Schubert is forward, and I don't think Jack Collins is too eager to keep it alive. I thought he would work it around at last second, but it didn't quite play out that way. Only 3 minutes to go in the Div 2 Grand Final. 58-93. Definitely lose, though it will be a 30-fight win. Holding ball is the call. Trinity fans in agreement there to come back to the hands of John Healy. John Healy, not the most superb of days, but at the same time, this isn't a time to shining, and back to the fans who have this campaign and what is possible. Not to be. Knox. Found a couple uncontested men down the corridor. They got another one looming. Will Thomas is leading. Is he going to get the receive? Well, the defenders got back in time. Shadforth's efforts couldn't help him, but he looms around this contest. He was hoping the ball would go out the other way. It doesn't, but regardless, it's holding the ball anyway. And 5-meter penalty, so it will be a goal here. Who that might be. So, and they hear out. But league game just everything. The correct for our looking for it. Including the things in the future. Going over some of the better players as well. Well, Look, let's acknowledge some of the better players for Trinity College because I think Jai Arnold had some really good contributions from the defence. Mason Don't running on a wing had a lot of transition involvement. I really liked his performance. Lachlan Hewlett also had some nice moments, and obviously Jack Collins with those 4 goals was a huge standout for the team and did a lot to try and help them at least keep things going from a forward perspective. It's when the ball doesn't go down there very much, you can't blame your forwards for having a quiet game, and even when it didn't go down there much, he was the reason that they weren't completely blown out today. But we're trying to get a look now, and Tony Neal is out with our best player on the ground from the Westminster School Footy Club.
Final siren, mate, absolutely sensational. Best on ground, 4 goals out there. You play midfield and forward. How'd you find it out there?
Yeah, it was bloody hot early, but just the weather, but it was good, getting a good switch up, working hard in the middle, going up forward. It was pretty dangerous down there. The boys were delivering it to me well, so no, it was good.
And how much work do you do on your motor, mate? You're a very fit man.
Yeah, a lot of pre-season running, a lot of hot days in the sun, so no, it paid off today.
And Westminster win a grand final, mate. Sensational. Tell us what it means to you to play with your mates. Might be the last time you play with a lot of these guys. Tell us about that. Highly emotional, but fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was unreal. Just being able to come to Adelaide Oval, play with the boys. Yeah, it was awesome. Just couldn't ask for a better experience, really. Cheers to Sass for putting it on, and yeah, it was unreal playing with the boys. Some of my best mates, so yeah, it was awesome.
All right, mate. Well, you've won the Dartfish beanie and the thongs there as well through Archie's. Mate, you're a premiership player for life. Don't ever forget that. You're an absolute champion, superstar. Congratulations. Go and enjoy it with the boys.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, of course, to Anders McShane, our voted best player on the ground. But, of course, the actual league will be voting for their own best player, so I wonder if they'll be in solitary agreement with us over that decision. But obviously he was a huge standout. Running through the midfield, had plenty of transition game going. And when I talk about transition game, I talk about players who can weave together through traffic and get the ball moving in fast motion off of rebound plays, off of quick fire stoppages, off of ball ups, and more importantly, the turnovers as well. He's got that type of versatility on him, and you definitely think he would have a big future in Aussie rules football, no matter what the level is. As we see the scoreboard change, the Sacred Heart and Ross Trevor logos pop up, but we're going to go down to the post-game ceremonies.
This is the first time SAS has had the privilege of playing these games on the hallowed grounds of Adelaide Oval. Thank you to all the umpires on the day, the helpers, medical team and the SAS Football Committee. To the schools involved over the season and to everyone who has participated and supported their teams. A special thank you to the Sample, Darren Chandler, Angela Child, Brenton Phillips and Sam Blades for supporting the SAS football competition and creating the opportunities to play the Division 1 and Division 2 grand finals at Adelaide Oval. I now invite the runner-up captain from Trinity forward to say a few words.
I'll just make it quick, but yeah, firstly to the Westminster boys and Andrew's crew, well done. It's a pretty good game, so, and to us boys, all us support staff and stuff, to get here is pretty good, so keep your head up high, and you know, and to the SAS for putting this on, the Adelaide Oval, our boys have been looking forward to it all week, and all the students to come here and support us, so it was real good. So yeah, thanks to everyone involved. Thank you.
Okay, I now invite the winning captain from Westminster forward to say a few words.